We got the band playing.
The band's got a little lump today.
Yeah, it does.
Maybe the band's excited today.
We are all excited. We got a great show. Rob Browne in Memphis. Jake Wimberly's going to join us. Brenden in Ocala. Next 60 minutes, the best 60 minutes you will on the SEC Hour of Power.
Robert
Schuler, right? Yeah, the Hour of Power of the SEC. I love it. Hey, we've got a great one today. But first, take a picture with your QR code.
Take a picture of the QR code.
Yeah, of the QR code for Twitter, multiple channels live, Facebook, and YouTube. And I'm going to tell you, Facebook's cool because people can find you that maybe hadn't seen you in a while. Like Max Howell. Love it, man. He watches the show every day.
I don't have a QR for that, but if you're a Facebook person, just look for at SEC Sidelines with Rob Browne.
All right. And thank you, because a lot of people watch in different ways. Our big one is obviously Twitter, but we do this Monday through Friday, 8 to 9 a.m. Central, so we love it. We got a channel with 8 shows on it. We'll start with Jake Wimberly, ESPN 105.9, The Afternoon Drive in Jackson, Mississippi, followed by Jason Caldwell, AU Undercover, Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, Vince Ferrara, The Sports Animal in Knoxville. Jake, you are into structure and thinking, a deep thinker. Rodan has nothing on you.
Rodan.
That's right. How you doing this morning? And you put out so many great numbers. College football, 8 days away from an SEC team starting. 4 days away or 3 days away from Kansas State and Iowa State in Dublin. Good morning.
Morning, guys. It's here. We're all over it like you guys are. We're getting ready for junior college football here in the state of Mississippi, high school football, college football. It's football overload, right? I mean, and you know, the interesting thing about this time of year, and I tell everybody, I tell my kids this is, hey, buckle up. You're going to blink and it'll be Christmas. I mean, I tell everybody, enjoy the next few weeks because you guys know it will leave in a hurry.
It does. And I think everybody gets so excited looking ahead to week 10, 11, and 12. It's a 12-chapter book. Yep. And you know what happens when you skip a chapter or two? You fail the test. So, I'm with you. God bless America. Enjoy what it is. Hell, watch Kansas State and Iowa State from Dublin. Oh, yeah. All right, what's going on?
We
Mississippi
all will.
State, and
we'll all watch it.
And you know what? I was talking with the Liberty Bowl people, Steve Earhart in Memphis Monday night, and Tony Barnhart and Harold Grader. I don't care who's playing. If they're keeping score, I'm a fan. Jake, what's happening in Mississippi?
Well, I mean, right now it's just trying to put the rest of the hay in the barn, right? Yeah. I mean, you're talking about Mississippi State. The big story, I guess, and call it a big story. Coming out of Starkville is they like the team. They look the part. Now, when they say they like the team, what does that mean? This isn't a team that's going to compete for the Southeastern Conference Championship, but I think this will be a team that you'll see that should be much improved. They've got bodies on the defensive front, 8, 9, 10 guys that they feel like they can have a good rotation there. And look, that is a big thing coming off a team last year that had just 10 sacks for the entire season. I mean, let that sink in just for a minute. Mississippi State had 10 sacks all year long defensively. There are teams that had guys that had more sacks individually than the entire team. So they like their defensive front. They like their linebackers. They feel like that they can run in space. Offensively, Blake Shapen, year 2, he's healthy. He's bigger. He's stronger. Everybody wants to see, does he have that year 2 pop off like quarterbacks have had, like Matt Corral and Dylan Gabriel under Jeff Levy? They feel like they've got a pretty comparable running back room. So, we'll see. They're going to Southern Miss next weekend. They like their team. Charles Huff has done a great job of bringing in a great staff. And, of course, kind of rebooting that program via Marshall and some other guys in the transfer portal. Yeah. So it's an interesting game, to say the least. And for Ole Miss, when you look at Ole Miss, I think, it's a team that expects to win. And, they're excited about their new quarterback. They're excited about this chapter of Ole Miss football. So everybody's undefeated and everybody's excited.
Year 2 under Jeff Levy. Matt Corral, Ole Miss goes to the Sugar Bowl. Okay. You think about year 2 with Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma, they go from 6 wins to 10 wins. That's pretty damn impressive track record. And I know Tony Barnhart Monday was going to Oxford Tuesday to see Lane Kiffin. I think he's in Starkville in Oktibbeha County today. Jake, right now, in no particular order, can you give me a top 6 in the SEC based on practice reports alone?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you're talking about top 6 in the SEC, if we're just talking about, is everybody passing the eye test? They pass the smell test. Obviously, I think you would go Texas, Georgia. I think you would go, LSU. Probably you would go, Texas A&M. I think you would probably go Tennessee, and then Tennessee, and then Alabama, and let's throw Ole Miss in there if we're going to go 7.
Yeah, and I mean, it's interesting. Tennessee's quarterback situation, when you bring a guy that underperformed at App State, you bring him to Tennessee. Dave Bartu talks a lot about that. What do you think the odds are? But then you've got Josh Heupel to coach the quarterbacks. Doesn't that matter something?
Oh, absolutely. And look, I love Dave Bartu. I think he does a great job. What I look at with Joey Aguilar, and I'm probably, I'm not boots on the ground like our guy Vince Ferrara is, and some other guys, but I just, again, I look at a lot of numbers, and Joey Aguilar to me last year was kind of an outlier season for him, because when you look back at 2023. This is a guy that threw 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. I mean, 2 years ago. I mean, he completed almost 64% of his passes. He had, so if Josh Heupel can get the 2023 version of Joey Aguilar, I've said this, I think they may be in a better quarterback situation than they were last year, because Nico Imaliava is not the reason they got to the playoff last year. It was that run game and their defense. So if he can come in and just be a serviceable guy and put the ball in the playmaker's hands and keep the ball safe, keep it in orange and white, Tennessee's going to be fine.
All right. Another one that's interesting, year 2 in the quarterback system with Bobby Petrino, Taylon Green at Arkansas. What's the best possible scenario for the Hogs this year?
If we're talking record-wise, excuse me, I think, 7 wins for Arkansas. I've got them under 6. I've got them 4 or 5. And the reason is the schedule, because, Taylon Green is a really good quarterback. It's just, what does Arkansas have to go with Taylon Green? A road trip to Ole Miss. They've got to follow that up with a very tricky game at Memphis before hosting Notre Dame. So that 3-game stretch there is going to be really tough. And then after the bye week, I mean, it's just brutal. At Tennessee, Texas A&M, they'll host Auburn. They'll host Mississippi State. They'll get a bye week and then come back and play on the road against LSU and Texas and Missouri. You could argue that this is the toughest schedule in the Southeastern Conference with Florida and Mississippi State. But if they've got players, I mean, they could. I've said this before. If you want a team to watch that could be, make some noise and create a little havoc, it's this team right here.
Yeah. Another team, Texas A&M. You talked about. 7 of the top 8 offensive linemen are coming back. As Chuck Oliver says, that ain't nothing. That's a big deal. I mean,
it's a huge deal. I mean, talking to Olin Buchanan down there, from several reports.
Yeah.
All the offensive linemen are returning, at least the starters. They return a running back room that went over 2,500 yards last year. They've got a defense that they believe in, and a quarterback, then Marcel Reed, that they feel like can be, one of the best that they've had in quite a while. So, I mean, this is a Texas A&M team that, and everybody eye rolls, and I get it, because, the old joke, they're the best 8-4 team in the country that's ever been. Yeah. But we'll see that week 3 road game at Notre Dame. And that's not a season-defining game. They could lose that game and still make the college football playoff if you're being the contention of it. But I think after the bye week, we'll know over the next 5 weeks, Auburn, Mississippi State at home, if they can defend home turf, Florida at home, and then grab a couple on the road. I mean, this is a team that may finally be where a lot of people feel like, they can be with the talent and the money, which is, playing for a playoff spot in November.
All right. I like to ask smart people, think outside the box. Missouri doesn't get a lot of attention in the day in and day out, but damn, I think Eli's had several 11-win seasons up there. They're putting a lot of money in the program. Prebula, quarterback transfer from Penn State. What can he bring?
I think he's going to bring, much of the same of what we've seen under Eli Drinkwitz. The good thing for Missouri is their schedule is one of the more manageable in the conference. I mean, Central Arkansas. Now that week 2 ball game against Kansas, that old Big 12 throwback ball game. Kansas likes their football team, and you talk about a program that's throwing a lot of money. I mean, look what Kansas has been doing.
$450 million last week.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable the commitment level that they have. But that'll be an interesting game for them in week 2. And then, of course, UL Lafayette, they'll host South Carolina. We'll really know after that week, if they could get a win against South Carolina at home, that would tell you a lot about this football team. UMass, and then, of course, after the bye week, much like we talked about earlier, they'll play a series of games: Bama, at Auburn, at Vanderbilt, Texas A&M, and some others. So, I've got this team 6-6, sliding back just a little bit. But this is a team, again, that could surprise and win 7 or 8 ball games.
All right. Can you confirm, maybe you'll deny it, was it the Tin Man who made the big contribution to Texas? He found a heart. Is that possibly true?
It's very possible, right? It's very possible.
I mean, I look at endowments at universities across the country because I've worked on the campaign for Auburn whenever I can. And they've got in the billions at Kansas. They got a great and now people say, okay, let's make football matter. All right. Another one I got to ask you about, LSU. Last year, Pro Football Focus was in love with their offensive line. But I remember that night down in Gainesville, the Gators sacked Garrett Nussmeier 6 or 7 times. Now, Jack Pyburn is transferred now away to LSU. That's kind of wild. But what do you think happens down in Baton Rouge this year?
Look, I think Brian Kelly is still one of the better football coaches in the country. I know that he, takes a lot of heat for the slang and everything that, all of his other off the field antics that he does. But look, this is a team that, is annually going to win 9-10 ball games. Yeah. We'll see what he does this year. A lot of people are putting all the eggs in that Clemson basket in week 1. Look, either team that loses next weekend, Clemson or LSU, can still make the college football playoff. I have both of those teams in the college football playoff. The thing with LSU, and you know what you're going to get with Garrett Nussmeier, he's got to protect the football, though, a little bit more. Yeah. If they can have a run game that's comparable to LSU standards, and then, of course, that defense, if it is truly, a kind of a refurbished version of itself, they'll need to defend home field as well. I mean, that week 3 Florida game, Texas A&M later in the season, South Carolina, and then, of course, they'll have some road games that they'll need to go grab. But I like this team. I think it's a 9 or 10 win team. I don't know that they'll win the conference, but I've got them in the college football playoff, regardless of what happens next week. And by the way, I have them losing next week.
Yeah, and you know what is really funny? Everybody's comparing Marcus Freeman's first few years compared to Brian Kelly, and that's true. I mean, you can't. I think Marcus Freeman's a great coach. One more before you go, and we got to get you up next week. We'll have you on longer. We got a busy one today. Florida with Lagway, with or without him, they got a lot of talent. But with him, what can they do? I got him at 10 wins.
Yeah, with him, I would think 9 wins, 10 wins is possible. The question for Lagway is can he stay healthy? Wasn't healthy in high school, wasn't healthy last year. He's had some nags this year in spring. He needs to be healthy. A healthy DJ Lagway makes Florida happy. It makes Brenden happy. It makes Buddy happy. It makes
friends.
Look, we've got him. Yeah, we've got Gator Matt here, who's a big Florida fan here that listens to our show, and it makes everybody happy. And look, I want to see Florida good. We need Florida good, don't we? Florida needs to be good.
We do. We really do. That you're talking Gator Nation is massive.
I really need him to be good. Really, really good.
There we go. You heard it from
win a national championship. That'd be great. Just saying.
All right. No, so Jake, all right, man, you've got a great show every Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m., the afternoon drive, Jackson, Mississippi, ESPN 105.9. Tell people how they can follow you. And look, class is in session, man. There's an off season, but you better be focusing. And right now, follow this guy because it's nonstop content.
I appreciate that. At Jake Wim on X is the best way. Of course, you can find me on Facebook. Just search Jake Wimberly. It's a public profile. We'll be on today 3 to 6. We'll be doing more college. We've been doing a ton of high school, just getting ready for the high school football season, junior college. I mean, you name it, we're doing it here as far as college football. But looking forward to the season. Looking forward to being on with y'all next week. And Rob will definitely tee you back up as we move into next week.
You got a great producer, by the way. That guy, he will call you. And one time I forgot. I will never do that again. But we'll see you next week. Thank you, Jake.
All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, Jason Caldwell.
Are you getting in trouble with people's producers, Rob?
No. One time I was doing something and I missed. And boy, I was like, I am so sorry. Jason Caldwell's with us right now. Jason, AU Undercover, one of the best journalists around. He does not tell you anything if he doesn't believe it. Driving to Jackson, Tennessee yesterday, my phone, the screen cracked with all the stories with what you broke about John Cohen's announcement and Auburn's national championships. Al Sherman's watching this up in Fayetteville, Arkansas right now. He is the biggest Auburn fanatic I know, one of them. He said, let Jason tell us how we can buy gear with 9 on it. That's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, no, it's and it's been something that I think's been kicked around for about 20 years at Auburn. Going, look, hey, it should have been done a long time ago. And Auburn's not going to make an announcement. This was like, hey, we're going to honor these teams. We're going to recognize it. And I happened to find out about it and was able to do a story on it. And so they're going to put it up in the stadium. But there's no press release, none of those things from them. But I did ask for a statement, and John Cohen said, look, we're going to honor these teams. And so in a sport where for most of our lifetimes, you had 2 national champions, sometimes 3, who knows? It just makes sense. You've got schools all over the country that have given national championships for a lot less than what Auburn did yesterday. So it just makes sense to do it and go on with it, move forward, and now try to get back in position to win another one here sometime down the road.
Absolutely. What's going on in practice right now? That AU Undercover website last year, 97.2 million page views. It ain't because people are bored. You put out content. I know you sleep some, but it's great stuff.
Yeah, first just I got a lot of folks that help out a lot. Nathan King, Christian Clemente, Philip Marshall, Patrick Bingham does a lot of our video stuff. The guys do a great job, and so it makes it fun. And when you win, it makes it a whole lot more fun, and hopefully that will come this season to because it's been rough the last 6-7 years, and continuous kind of downhill because the talent. And this is a much more talented team. That's what when you look at it in practice right now, does it translate? Do you win games? Can you win more games? All those things. There's no question that it's a more talented team, and I put. Been talking about a little bit there's a lot more NFL scouts. That's what gives you a heads up that, okay, this team's made a little bit different because there haven't been a whole lot of those guys around the last few years. There's more of those guys around now. And so can you get off to a good start and obviously schedule 3 of the first 5 games on the road, open at Baylor pretty good. Oklahoma, people think are going to be much better. Texas A&M, people think are going to be much better. You got some challenges out of the gate, but if you could pull off a couple of those, then you got a chance to build some momentum.
Yeah. What about Hugh Freeze? Can you believe it? A coach got mad during practice. My God, people put that on video.
Yeah.
I mean, we know.
And it's a good thing that they didn't have YouTube when Steve Spurrier was, they did, all the visor tossings and all. It is what it is. Nick Saban screamed at guys left and right, but they won games. Steve Spurrier won games.
Yeah.
If you win games, you can do whatever you want to.
Yeah.
When you don't win, people are going to criticize you and nitpick everything you do.
Yep.
And right now, that's what Hugh Freeze is dealing with. And so, but it's hilarious to me that that becomes a story, and it becomes a story from people that are actual football people. That's what I don't understand. I can understand fans going, "Oh man," people that actually cover this sport making that a story. Is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, you're working with your receivers, your quarterbacks. Golly, if we had microscopes on us in every aspect of our lives the last 50, 60, I can't even imagine. It's nuts. All right, so talk about all 3 quarterbacks possibly playing. The last time I remember you had Jeff Berger, Bobby Walden, and Pat Washington all trying to play up in Knoxville in 1985. It doesn't work. I think he's just throwing it out there, but that would have why would he say when and got all 3 just to confuse Baylor maybe?
No, well, see, I think people are playing all 3 quarterbacks, and all 3 quarterbacks playing are 2 different things.
Okay.
Playing 3 different quarterbacks means we don't know who we got. We're playing all 3 guys to see what happens. All 3, when you play a quarterback and you're going, well, we might play all 3. That's different. It might be 1 snap goal line for a National Daniels. It might be a situational thing where you got to into the half. You're on your own 40-yard line. You're going, hey, we're going to take a shot down the field. Well, that might be where you put Deuce Knight in the game because he got an extremely strong arm.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to go in there and come out of the game next Friday night and you look up and you're going to see those 2 guys playing 30 snaps. I think you might see a situation where you put a guy in, but they may play all three quarterbacks, but all three quarterbacks aren't playing. And so to me, those are different things when I think about that.
Yeah. I mean, you disseminated it perfectly. That's why you're the best. All right. So the running back room, one new player from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, Darrell Robinson. Doug Dean is really high on this guy. Said he was banged up the last couple of years. What are you seeing out of him in practice so far?
Yeah, he's been good. I mean, I think it's an interesting room because you don't have a Jarquez Hunter. You don't have a Tank Bigsby before him. You don't have an established guy. And so what's it going to look like? It may be 2 or 3 weeks into the season before you really figure out what you have, because sooner or later you have to figure out who's in the game in short yardage, who's in the game in the fourth quarter, those kind of things. And so Damari Austin is back. Jeremiah Cobb's probably looking the best he's done since he's been at Auburn, even coming back from that fractured finger. He's bigger, more physical. Darrell Robinson is a different kind of guy. I mean, he's over 6 foot tall, over 200 pounds. He's a different type of runner than Auburn's had in a while, probably body-wise similar to Kerryon Johnson, but not quite the same guy. But you're right. He played through with a turf toe injury for 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He got it fixed. He's healthy. So he looks good. And then you got the 2 freshmen, Omar Mabson, probably coming from 7A, even though he wasn't here in the spring. It's probably prepared him more than Alvin Henderson now, because he's had to play at that higher level. Strength and conditioning program he's been in, all those things. He's 5'9", 213. He's a big back that can move it some. So it's an interesting group.
Yeah. Defensively, DJ Durkin, last year Auburn held like 7 opponents to 21 points or less. If the offense is a lot better, let's say 30 or 40% better, there's your 9 or 10. I've got Auburn at 10 this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think can you make enough plays? And I had a thing. I think defensively, I think they're going to be good. I think the question still for me is linebacker group. How do you? They can run. They're athletic.
Yeah,
they're physical. But how do you hold up when you have to make adjustments and you got to play 12 games and you got to play 65, 70 snaps, all those things? That's what we don't know yet. I think they'll be good, but we just don't know that. I do think defensively, they got a ton of depth. They got guys that can run and make plays. You look at this team, and I did it earlier this week, but I was like watching Scotty Scheffler play golf. To me, if Auburn football, and you can't emulate the number 1 player in the world all the time, but you can in one aspect, is that he doesn't make catastrophic mistakes.
Yeah.
He might make a bogey here or there, but he's always middle of the green. Make the correct shot. Don't try to do anything crazy. And to me, you look at last year and you go, if you just do that, if you just eliminate catastrophic mistakes, that team probably wins 8 games.
Yeah.
Even a year ago.
Yeah.
So can you take that next step?
Yeah. How is Alex McPherson from Fort Payne doing on his recovery?
Yeah, he's kicking the ball well. He's just not able to gain a bunch of weight back. And so they're kind of just taking it easy with him, not overexerting him in preseason camp, but he's kicking really well. They were perfect on field goals, him and Towns Magoo. And, they got some guys that can kick. So they were perfect on field goals the last scrimmage. I think what we will see from Alex McPherson is probably 40 to 45 and extra points. He would be the guy. I don't think he'll be the guy in kickoffs. I think it's going to be Towns Magoo, or it could be Southern Miss transfer that kicks off as well. But and then long field goals, probably Towns Magoo. But I think it's going to be 40, 45 extra points. Those kicks, they will let him kind of focus on that and not try to exert things too much outside that.
And, and remember, like Josh Harris, I know him, former walk-on deep snapper at Auburn, still in the NFL, out of Carrollton, Georgia, Sigma Nu at Auburn, walk-on. You don't know the long snapper's name until they mess something up. I've never seen so much conversation or heard so much conversation about the kicking game at Auburn, but I've also never seen anything like last year, 13 of 23. And I remember as a kid, just the kicking game, Auburn's always given a full scholarship to kickers. You think about Woody Woodall back as a kid, so many great ones. Is McPherson ever going to be back to what he was his freshman year, you think?
It just depends on if he can get where he can continue to gain weight and hold it and do some of those things physically. But I think from an accuracy standpoint, and he's a guy that, because of his size, he had a strong leg.
Yes.
Probably not quite as strong as his brother. I don't know that he'll get back to where he's kicking, 55, 60 yards. I don't think that'll happen this year. Maybe with another year, maybe if he were to do that. But look, if you just make the automatic ones, and give yourself a chance on some longer field goals, then you'll be in pretty good shape. And so I think he's able to do those things.
All right. Auburn history inside out. Keldrick Falk, 6'6", 285. When you stand next to him, he looks like he weighs about 200 pounds. He's that incredible of an athlete. But he's got to have help. Malik Blockton, Malik Altry, Jamison, Quintel, Travis, whatever. There's some talent there. How about the depth on that front seven? You mentioned there's depth. I know the secondary is always good, but that front seven's huge.
Yeah, no, I think it's been probably the biggest surprise for me in camp has been the way those guys have played. That Dallas Walker's been much better than I thought. Yeah. He weighs 360 pounds, but when you watch him move, he doesn't move that way. Now, the key for them is that they don't want those guys to play but 6-8 snaps at a time, and then you're done. You so boom, 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 play. You don't have to worry about being on the field for an entire drive of 15 plays. They don't want that to happen. And so I think you look at those guys, Dallas Walker, Bobby Jameson, Travis, Malik Blockton. You still got Zykevis Walker, but you brought in Jay Hardy and James Ash. So you're looking at 6 guys that have experience.
Yeah.
Then you go, Jordan Crawford, and then Malik Altry. That's 8. Darion Smith is a pass rusher that could be a third down interior guy. That's 9 players for 2 positions. It's just 2 spots. And so I think you're going to see them roll guys. But, for me, how good can those older guys be, and especially the transfers? Because I think, last year they were good enough to hold up in the middle of that defensive front. And I think they have a chance to be better creating some plays maybe than they did a year ago in the middle.
Yeah, Zykevis Walker, just talk about him. I hope Auburn people remember this. This kid's been there 5 years, 6 years out of Ellaville, Georgia, South Georgia kid, has never left, one of the top players in Georgia. He just keeps hanging around. I hope he has a Smokey Hodge type of year.
Yeah, I think for him it's going to be, maybe spelling, especially against the run, maybe playing some defensive end at times and being that kind of guy. It's going to be tough to hold off some of these young guys because of they're just so explosive and size wise too. So, but you look at him. There's only a few guys left, and you think about Tate Johnson, Brandon Frazier, Jeremiah Wright, Zykevis Walker, Robert Woodyard's a 4-year guy that's kind of done the same thing, stuck around. Yeah. There's only a handful of those guys still left on this roster. Damari Austin's a 4-year guy, but they're not many, and so I think it'd be great to see those guys all have a role this season.
Well, and I read a great article in the LaGrange paper. My friend Billy Roberts' dad gave me about Tate Johnson. I think he's getting his MBA in finance at the Harvard College of Business at Auburn. Offensive lineman, he's played different positions. That's where your coaches come from. Jason, before you go, what are you writing about? And I want to go back and make sure people know Philip Marshall, you, Christian, Nathan, everybody on that staff, Ronnie Sanders. Yeah, it's a collaborative effort. But what are you writing about, or what do people need to be following that they're not paying attention to as we're 9 days out from Auburn at Baylor?
Yeah, I think the tough thing right now is trying to get a feel for an opponent because of this transfer portal world. And we talked to Hugh Freeze this week about it and asked him how difficult does it make it when you have 20 plus transfers. You have to go back and kind of watch them at their previous stop, and you have to be more mindful of style of play, maybe more so than individual. So just kind of focusing a little bit more on Baylor as we start to get into a shorter game week with a Friday night game next week. So have that big commitment coming up tomorrow night. Braylon Womack is the number 1 safety in the country, 5-star kid that I think Auburn is in pretty good shape with at the moment. So that'll be something to pay attention to as well.
Yeah. Well, Jason, tell people how they can follow you, and let's do it again next week. Absolutely love it when you are on here because you make sense out of some stuff that's not sensible.
Yeah, can check us out, auburnundercover.com. Obviously part of 24/7 network. Can find everything there. Tons of stuff. Our YouTube page as well, Auburn Undercover. And then right now it's 50% off still. So until the kickoff of Baylor game, if you haven't ever subscribed and kind of always wanted to, get 50% off now for a yearly subscription. So come check us out. And that includes Paramount Plus. So it's a pretty good booster to the subscription.
Yeah, I mean it's nonstop, and just you on Twitter alone it's worth it. But subscribe now, folks. We'll see you next week, Jason. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, Brenden. You know what Jason just said about coaches. I mean, you get to go to practice. You're down on field level and all like that. This stuff when a microphone is near a coach, I can't believe the things they say. Jason's right, man. You're out there in practice 3 hours in the heat. It's intense. Mark Twain said it best. If you like the law and you like sausage, don't ever watch either one of them when they're being made.
I don't get to go to practice.
Nobody does.
Calm down.
Okay.
I've seen practice. I saw him work. I saw him warm up once.
Yeah.
All
right.
Dudley.
Speaking of hogs, and we love hogs. We love bacon, but I mean, we love hogs and pigs. Dudley Dawson, hogville.net at Pebble Beach Golf Course in the background there. Dudley, how are you, man?
I'm doing good. There's actual real football, college football to watch this weekend, and that's going to be my Saturday.
Yeah. But we were just talking with Jake Wimberly in the first section. Halen.
Is Rob going into witness protection? I think he is. Robert, you're call Starlink, get Elon.
He was about to say Taylor Green. Taylor Green is ready.
That fans need to be really. Yeah.
Let's try that again. You froze.
Let's try it again, Rob. You froze on us.
Sorry about that. We have aliens out here. Let's talk about year 2 in the Petrino system. That's always a good thing in terms of development. But you got to have running backs. You got to have other guys around you. Talk about the offense.
Well, I was going to come on here. I'm actually going to do a deep dive on Mike Washington, who is the running back sensation they have up here that everybody on the coaching staff and players are all excited about. This is a guy who started just 8 games in the past 2 years. 4 at Buffalo, 4 at New Mexico. But he's a guy that, I mean, they just love. Is this a case of him finally maturing? Is it being the right situation? Coach Petrino, who gave his final pre-season press conference yesterday, still had great things to say about him. I think he's going to be the starter, obviously, and they're going to look at him as he started dropping hints to like Raleigh Williams and some other backs here that had the speed and power to get things done. So I think, again, I said this last week, but that has been the biggest thing here in the spring and the fall. They believe that they have a big-time running back besides the one they already thought they had in Braylon Russell.
That Bobby Petrino can do so much with a great running back who can catch passes out of the backfield. How do they grade on that respect?
It's another thing. He did that well at his previous 2 stops, catching the ball out of the backfield. Even though he only started 4 games last year, he had 712 yards in those games on 158 carries. That's what, like I said, I'm going to do a deep dive and see, is this guy just blossoming? What his high school coaches thought about him. I'm going to try to call the other 2 colleges, but they don't usually talk about folks that transferred away. We'll see how that works out. But they're excited up here. They're playing Alabama A&M. Obviously, that first Saturday here in Fayetteville. It's been a few years since they've actually started up here in Fayetteville. Been starting down in Little Rock and all that. So they're excited about that. But kind of anxious to see them go against an Alabama A&M school that's kind of reeling from losing one of their players. One of their older players died in a car accident not too long ago. So it's tough when you see that. The young man was 27. It is a team that went 6-6 a year ago, and is someone that you would expect Arkansas to handle pretty well. But we all know about first games and things you're supposed to do and things that get done. I think we're all just anxious to get past August to at least get to the games.
Yeah. What's the best case scenario for Arkansas this year? What has to happen for them to get to 8 wins?
Well, I think the big key to getting to 8 wins is you would have to probably sweep the following games: Arkansas State. I'm giving them a win against Alabama. I think you would have to get 8 wins. You have to beat Arkansas State. You would have to beat Memphis. You would have to beat Ole Miss and probably beat Auburn.
Yeah.
I think you're going to beat Mississippi State. I think that there's enough talent there to do that. I think that's the way they get to 8. Now, I always say, and you know this, that with 50 new players that have gone against each other in spring practice and so-called fall camp, preseason camp, that I've seen many an Arkansas team look fantastic in drills, but it's always about proving it in a game. And so I'll begin to form an opinion against Alabama and A&M, form probably a little bit more of an opinion against Arkansas State, and then when Ole Miss and Memphis, and then Notre Dame roll around, we'll know a lot more.
How big is the anticipation, the buildup for that Notre Dame game, September 27th in Fayetteville? Which, by the way, folks, treat yourself and go to Fayetteville, the northwest corner. Go to a game, that stadium. I mean, even the inside boxes, they all are nice. These things are really nice, and the air conditioning works even with the windows cracked. It's an incredible stadium. But man, you're 80,000 people. It's going to be a wild environment.
I have a question about the stadium. Is there east and west side to the stadium? Is it divided? I've only been there once. So
we've got all 4 of them directions: east, west, north, and south. And
but they're named, right? Or they have a sponsorship, or I don't know, something. I was just curious. Somebody was telling me about that.
Yeah,
that's just another way to earn bucks, and in fact they're waiting on. I thought they were going to go ahead and get naming rights done. Technically, that contract has run out, is my understanding. It's still Donald W. Reynolds Stadium right now, but I'm sure it will be something as we go along. I don't think they'll announce it this week, but that would be a heck of a
Well,
deal.
not an announcement. I've just heard that there's ways of selling the stadium now. Where I have that they're selling. This is this stadium. The east is sponsored by this. The west is sponsored by this. I mean, come on, why not?
Yeah, this fourth down is sponsored by. I mean, they do all that on the radio and at the games. You got to get every bit of money you can these days in college football. But
start selling beer.
Yeah. Why did that start after I got out of college?
Right.
Yeah. You had to take in your own, and you always risk getting caught, and that would have been good if you were, with the Razorback basketball program.
Yeah. It is the inside of that stadium. Brenden, when we were there, they've got the Walmart logo on one end inside the red zone. The other one is Tyson chicken fingers, and which Don Tyson and that family, what they do for Arkansas is wow. And when we were up there with Jim and Pat McClellan, all those fraternity houses are literally, you can throw a shot put and hit the stadium. You're right there. Vince Ferrara joins us right now. He's been convalescing here. That's a fancy word. Isn't that north of Little Rock, Dudley, up in the Ozarks?
I believe so.
Yeah, my God.
Couple X's past it.
Vince, I got the Vanelli's Deli sign. I'm like the weatherman there we go, right there. How you doing, Vince? The sports animal in Knoxville.
Yeah, doing good. And I'm on the mend and rehabbing, and it's going pretty well according to my doctor. And I got a sick dog, Daphne. She's got a couple ear infections. She's thrown up a few times. So we're both on the mend right now. So trying to both get healthy.
Well, tell us this. I hope you get better, and you will.
Daphne.
Yeah, I've got a Daphne. She ate my glasses last night, and she ate all your shoes. Somewhere. Yeah, Daphne's on double secret probation, according to Dean Wormer. What's going on up in Knoxville? I'm married to a Vol. Mark Ham's watching over in Knoxville. A lot of Johnny Jenkins down in Dothan, Alabama is watching this morning. He goes, Browne, I love it when Vince is on with Dudley because they flat out know their stuff. So let's talk checkerboard orange and white for a minute.
Well, appreciate it. Obviously, the biggest thing, and you guys heard about it, is Tennessee's head coach Josh Heupel named Joey Aguilar as the
Wait,
starting
what?
quarterback.
What?
Yeah,
What? Wait a
actually,
minute. Everyone stop
naming
talking. We got to get the soundbite. Say it again.
Tennessee head coach Josh Heupel named Joey Aguilar as the starting quarterback for Tennessee this year. Not a surprise that it was Aguilar. The surprise was that Josh Heupel named him the starting quarterback now, as opposed to game week or a couple of days before the season started, because that's really been Josh Heupel's track record, the times that he has had a quarterback competition. But good on him to not wait and let everybody on the team rally around him. You had the competition. A lot of us knew that it was going to be Aguilar all along. I mean, he had to really struggle, and Merklinger would have had to look like a different guy in order to win that job. I mean, they brought him in the NIL. So it was, and he has 25 games. This will be his 25th start, Aguilar, when he starts the game against Syracuse in the Aflac kickoff game in Atlanta. He is the leading returning quarterback in the FBS in terms of total offense per game, with a minimum of 2,500 yards, 288.5 yards per game of total offense. Aguilar has that kind of experience, and it also highlights how little experience there is to go around in college athletics. But he was going to be the guy all along. It's just that they named it a couple of weeks out, and now the fans can rally behind him. The team can. He can gain confidence knowing he's QB1 at the University of Tennessee, and they can get the most out of him potentially. Oh, by the way, and then you run him with the ones for a couple of weeks. They have a mock game week this week, and then the actual game week next week. You have to play catch up with your receiver rhythm and timing, because they've had a lot of receivers out of the lineup, and they're not very deep anyway, with only 7 scholarship guys. And then Boo Carter has not been working on offense like he did a little bit in the spring. So it's 7 guys plus some walk-ons. You got to get that rhythm with your receivers and that chemistry. So he's got to play catch up, give them all the 1 reps with the guys that are going to be out there the most. Yeah. So it makes sense for them to do that. That's the biggest story. It's still an unknown how he's going to do. I don't have a strong conviction on that. We'll see. Heupel has good experience with quarterbacks, but the last 2 years they haven't been as explosive as they need to be.
Yeah.
So that's still an unknown for this team. That QB position has been the biggest storyline.
And Dudley, Vince knows this, but the Leadership Council, Tennessee football, holding Boo Carter accountable, I think that's great. He's got to earn his way back. And Josh Heupel turned that over to him. I think that's great. Do they have anything similar to that at Arkansas? I mean, like a leadership council, or is there...
Yeah. I mean, they've got captains and all that who have similar duties and all that. I thought I've really enjoyed my buddy, colleague, Wes Rucker, getting back into the game at Tennessee, and he's been using, in parentheses, tomfoolery is what that kid has been out for.
Shenanigans.
Yeah. But it's something you have to do in college sports these days, especially since the division of money is all up in there. I mean, we had a situation here 2 years ago where the quarterback was getting a ton of money and the offensive line weren't, and that was a big dynamic in the season not going pretty well. I hated to finally accept that was a fact.
Yeah.
I tried to prove it wrong by, talking to people, but it wasn't. It was, somebody arriving in a big time car and Gucci shoes or whatever that, or he had a little handbag too. That was first when, the dudes were coming out with the cross thing or whatever.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say this. Remember when we were kids, they would send us home from school with a note pinned to our shirt? They should have sent a note home with KJ Jefferson. Linemen like steaks. Remember the old 96er in the movie The Great Outdoors with John Candy and Dan Aykroyd? Take them out to a place like that. What, Vince? Twice a week, maybe? But, Vince, Tim Banks is back as defensive coordinator at Tennessee. How valuable is he, not just to the defense, but to the Tennessee football culture?
Well, I think he's evolved as a coach. I think as his personnel has gotten better, he's gotten better as a coach. Funny how that works,
Yeah.
you know. Uh, he has been really determined in trying to make this defense faster, longer on the back end. They bring in guys typically that are either 6 feet or taller or 5'11" with long arms, with ball skills, guys that have some offensive experience so they don't miss out on interceptions. They're really good when they get their hands on balls in the secondary. So those are all things that Banks has impacted this team with through recruiting. So that's a big part of it. And he is not a yeller and a screamer. He holds guys accountable, but he's not a yeller and a screamer. Another part that's a positive for the culture is on defense, they're more willing to play young players. So I think he keeps more guys engaged. Josh Heupel's a little more conservative about guys earning their way onto the field as young players or as freshmen. That's been sort of big a talking point with the wide receivers is they don't typically play a lot until these guys start getting hurt, and then they start going down the line, and then guys will get a cup of coffee, and then when somebody starter comes back, then they don't play as much. So it's a higher standard, I think, on offense than on defense.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Banks keeps a lot of guys engaged. So what happens now is, and it's the case with a few losses they had from graduation into the NFL this year, you got guys next in line that have already played some. So you get a feel for who they are. They get a feel for what they can do. They develop, they get better, weight room, all those kind of things. And then they're ready to take that next step. You know who believes in that kind of stuff? Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, teams that are very successful. Yeah. They play their young players early and they have a role, and then it's not a shock to them when they're next in line. They are ready to go because they've already been on the field. And I think that's another real positive to that culture that you mentioned.
Yeah. The point about Arkansas in that regard, I think vast majority of their players that's going to get time this year, especially early, is going to be the portal guys, and obviously the guys returning. They've got a few freshmen like Antonio Jordan, the wide receiver, 6'4", 230 for more, and who I think has a chance to be really. But now that they have, and I guess have had for a while, that 4-game, you can play 4 games.
Without
in
burning
the season, and be able to play in the bowl game as well. It's interesting to watch the mechanisms that go through coaches and staffs go through. When do you bring that guy along? We start hearing more about these guys in the middle of the season, and they start playing those last few games against Louisiana Tech or whatever and playing the bowl. So I'm anxious to see. They feel like they had a really good freshman class coming in here, but you got guys ahead of them, and you got to manage the situation because, as we well know, and there have been people up there who have played in games and then transferred after you said you would hold them out.
Yeah, well, like Madden Iamaleava comes to mind. Vince, looking at Tennessee right now, what area, offense, defense, special teams, don't forget that's a third of every game. What area concerns you, if there is an area?
I'd say the passing game. It's the biggest question. We mentioned the lack of depth and health at wide receiver. They are starting to get more guys back, but they had 39 combined catches returning at wide receiver with 3 guys from last year. Chris Brazzell had some experience from Tulane prior to that, but still very unknown. Talented, a couple of freshmen have a chance to play, and Travis Smith Jr. and Rodarius Jackson. But the thing is that typically in this offense, first-year wide receivers, whether they're transfers or freshmen, they don't have big years. It takes a second year for them to make an impact. That has to change this year unless Brazzell, Matthews, and Staley all make a big jump, and they're all really good. But more than likely, they're going to have to tap into somebody to have to elevate and break out in their first year in this system. Not everybody's ready to go, and Heupel's not always willing, as we mentioned, to play those guys. And then the unknown at quarterback. We don't know how good Joey Aguilar is going to be because there's the accuracy portion of it. He has to be better.
Yeah.
Will the players around him and the coaching elevate him to where they need to be? and then the turnovers. Will he clean that up while still making tight window throws and still not be risk averse, which I think Nico was at times? How much of the offense will they give him to be successful? So the passing game still is a big question. They cannot win and get to the playoffs in advance, in my opinion, if they don't start getting better at those deep shots like they used to be a couple of years ago. So to me, that's the biggest question of this team. I think they've largely had a lot of positives coming out of camp, the rest of the offense and on defense. Otherwise, I still think that's a big thing that can hold them back if they can't be better in the passing game.
Yeah, because it opens up the offense. Dudley, similar question for Arkansas up on the hill.
Well, first of all, I don't drink Kool-Aid. I hadn't in a long time, but this will sound very positive coming out of my mouth. And you and I have talked about 1 to 84, 85.
Yeah.
About Arkansas needing to have better depth. I do think that's there this year. I think that there's about every position that I look around is better stocked than it was last year. That includes quarterback, running back, offensive line, defensive line, secondary, the whole bit, the kicking game even. But here's the thing that I'd say. Again, don't drink the Kool-Aid, drink Bud Light, chocolate milk, and unsweetened or sweet tea. But I think they are better stocked. But man, the schedule and being in the SEC, and as I think I talked about last week, getting to 6 wins, 8 wins, 6 wins shouldn't be your goal. It gets you to a bowl, but I don't think that's going to work this year per se. I just think that they're a better football team, but I'm not sure they're going to have a better record. And that sounds strange to say, but it's just how I feel.
Well, I mean, winning begets winning, and if you're losing, then it becomes harder to get off the floor. Vince, the SEC 1 through 16, you think it's better this year than last year?
I do. You can make a case. Arkansas, Dudley just made a great case for why they should be better and they're more talented. Yeah. I think you can do that with a whole lot of teams in the SEC. You can do it all the way to the bottom, and even Mississippi State. Now, that doesn't mean Mississippi State is going to be, 500 or drastically better, but better. And if they're better, they're more competitive. That means if you're not ready to play, you can get beat. And that probably was not the case last year for them. So, you can go across the board. The quarterback position is a big part of it. There should be an upgrade. Look what they did in adding in the portal. I don't think the top of the league is as separated in terms of national championship certainty, but because all of them have some sort of flaws.
Yeah.
But I think depth in terms of a huge middle of the pack and even improvement from the teams that have had recent struggles getting better. I absolutely think the league is deeper this year. Doesn't mean they're going to win the national championship. I just think they are deeper. And Dudley talked about the schedule. I ranked the schedule based on all games for each SEC team. I think Arkansas is the third toughest schedule in the Southeastern Conference, which of course makes it one of the toughest in all of college football. I only have Oklahoma and Florida ahead of them, and I think Oklahoma has the tougher schedule than Florida. I mean, Florida, it's not like Florida has plays Mississippi State and Kentucky on their schedule, whereas Oklahoma has nobody that's near the bottom of the league on their schedule. So, I think Oklahoma is the toughest in Florida, and then Arkansas is right there, which is pretty typical, as Dudley and everybody knows.
Yeah, Arkansas has been in the top 5 every year.
Yeah,
for a long time in scheduling.
Yeah,
not in winning and in posing all that, but in scheduling, and it's another case here. I think to follow up on Vince and his question, I think at that bottom 4 that they picked at the preseason meetings, there's nobody out there saying that's a win. Nobody on their non-conference scale, that's a win. We're going to have to go show up and play. That tells me that 1 to 16 is better, even though at the very top they might not be as dominant as they once have been.
Yeah, and before we go, Inspector Clouseau, the guy Connor Stallions at Michigan running around in glasses and a mustache. I mean, does Inspector Clouseau claim the national championship, or does Michigan get to? Are we in the South gonna continue to recognize that national championship won by Michigan? I mean, what real quick?
Dude, you're an Auburn fan. I don't know if I'd be yelling about national championships right now.
Hey, we've had a great
9 times.
We've had a hell of a
9
summer.
times.
But you remember that.
I just won a national championship.
Hey, yeah, the summer of 1983 was the best. Alabama, the summer of '83, won 5. Remember, they had 6. Auburn won 7. It's been a great summer. I'll just say that.
I just think you should shut this one out.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Vince Ferrara, the sports animal in Knoxville, Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net. Thanks more than you know, both of y'all. You're 2 of the best people out there. Follow these people, man. You may not read a newspaper every day, but follow these guys on Twitter, everywhere you can.
Let's play
real
football.
Let's
play real football.
Let's play ball. Spot the ball. All right.
See you guys.
Y'all be good.
Guys.
Take care. Thank you. All right, let's say something now. Sponsors. We love our sponsors. Start off with Landers Ford. $500 off for SEC Sidelines audience members. Number 1 Ford dealership in the Mid-South. They're at Poplar and Houston Levy, where Germantown and Collierville come together. You live in Memphis, the Mid-South, anywhere in the country, go to LandersFordMemphis.com. They will ship a vehicle anywhere. You see those trucks on the interstate, Brenden, all the time, loading up. They've got everything in now, all the new vehicles, the Broncos. You see them right there. They've got the off-road packages. They've got sedans. We don't talk about sedans, but some people still drive sedans, and they've got a lot of them, like Ed Kaiser, on the lot. The F-150s.
I'll take a sedan.
Hey, and the Rangers. And, hey, these Ford Explorers, God, the Ford Explorers, the Ford Escape, the Ford Power Promise. Hey, they got EVs. They got it all in a service department committed. They'll pick you up, provide round-trip transportation. Look, remember this. If you didn't buy your last car, truck, SUV from Landers, you probably paid too much. And that's what we do. Brad Bellamy, the GM, is our great friend out there. Ask for him. He will help you. Hewlett & Dunn, boot and clothing company on the historic square in Collierville, Tennessee. Hey, HewlettandDunn.com. You can order, and they will package it and ship it anywhere in the country, the world, wherever you are. We have expats. We have military folks listening around the world, Brenden. It's really cool, some of the things we find out. They've got a boot selection at Hewlett & Dunn, second to none, for men and women. And, hey, I got for the little kids, I'm talking 2- and 3-year-olds, they've got a big, big whole table full of kids' boots out there. Great-looking women's clothing. Barber, Filson, STS, Duckhead, Stetson, Ariat, Wrangler. This Filson luggage that they have out there, and backpacks and Barber, boy, they got a big Barber shipment coming in. Ladies and men's coats, jackets, hats, bags. Wow, that blue bag right there you see on the screen, Audrey takes that to school every day with her turtle box to play music for the kiddos. So she has a lot of fun up at school with it. And they're open Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Charles Hall, his wife, Laura. You can't get better than these people. Lydia, J.M. Huffman, Raven Carpenter. Just get out there. Hey, how you fight is how you live. Rumble Boxing. Remember, they are at Union and McLean, Midtown Memphis, open every day of the week. Those classes start at like 5:30 in the morning. And remember, when you get there, 48 spots, okay? How you fight is how you live.
I mean, they probably listen to that Unchy music in there. They got a different band than we have.
Yeah, they got a really good band in there. And look, also the Lights Out gummies, man. Look, if you have trouble sleeping, order these things, use the promo code for the 25% off discount. Sidelines, Lights Out gummies, Dave Bartu, College Football Matrix. Great people to work with. They've got pain stuff, pain for joint stiffness. They've got a lot. You can text Dave Bartu. He gives his number out every Monday. And let me say, most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Stay tuned to this channel. Later today, Coach Ron Zook on the AU Undercover Show with all of us in this channel here every day. Thanks for watching, people. We'll see you later today.
I got your workout music, John Boy.
Here we go.
Rumble Boxing. How you dance is how you live.
How you dance is how you live.
Good night, John Boy. I'll see you like 30 more times today. If you're not watching Sideline Sports, I don't know what you're watching.
Yeah.
We got it all.
Thank you. Best executive producer in the world, Brenden Martin. We love
Ever
it.
in the history of time.
In the history of producers. We'll take that.
Go Gators.